The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Hooray for Hollywood, where stars are living large in mansions with their servants and their credit cards in charge, with fame that's fleeting but the egos never change, where everyone's a genius except the ones who really arrange. Hooray for Hollywood, where the scandals always sell, where every whispered secret is a new tabloid's tell. Oh, how we adore the endless red carpet galore. Hooray for Hollywood, where less is always more.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast. Damn you, Hollywood. And here's your host, Robert Winfrey. Huzzah.
Huzzah.
Well, I'm not waving my arms like Kermit, so I can't say yay.
You sound more like Kermit than the guy they've got doing Kermit these days. I saw that clip on the internet of because they're reviving the Muppet Show.
Jason's here. Jason, I didn't understand your Facebook post. It said that ChatGPT did you dirty. What were you even intending to do with those pictures in like 10 words or less?
It added like 300 pounds to me.
Did you ask it to do like look at me, I'm a salesman, and also look at me, We Are Marshall?
I said make a caricature of me using what you know about me, and that's how I got the Marshall.
Okay.
Like, I'm a Marshall student, and then I said do one based on my job, and it pulled up that sales and marketing one. And both of them I look like.
So your complaint is that ChatGPT says you're fat. That's okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or I am fat and I just don't want to admit it, and ChatGPT is just being mean.
That would track. Robert, yeah. I have a bone to pick with you. You, as per usual, bullied and viciously attacked me on our year in review show. When I gave my bottom five, I innocently, Christianly, charitably
You're a Jew.
You're a Jew. Said Snow White was the 5th worst movie of the year. And you callously attacked me, relentlessly even. And then you called me a liar and a cad, and that I was intellectually dishonest, and that I was a coward. This is what you did. Here's the problem. Because you don't love me, because you don't love this show, and you're only here out of some unearthly obligation to the Lord High, you don't remember anything that we talk about, nothing at all. But I am the keeper of the scripts. I go back and listen to these things. And now I didn't do this on purpose. I don't want you to understand that.
Okay.
I did not go searching through the archives because I must clear my good name. I am on the run from the Robert Winfrey police. The fugitive. That's what I was going for. I am not the fugitive.
Okay. I am not the one-armed man. We're okay.
Nor am I. And I just happened to be in the car, innocently, fatherly, driving my children to a family affair. And
we were in the process of calling you father, no doubt.
Indeed. And we were listening to the Five Nights at Freddy review, where I said, Five Nights at Freddy is the worst movie I've seen this year. I hate it. Flames on the side of my face, heaving, seething. And when you were like, but Snow White, all the good boys hate Snow White. And I said, but Robert, dear friend, on this very podcast, I said, I hate Five Nights at Freddy's more than Snow White. I enjoyed it less than Snow White. At least Snow White I laughed at and had a good time. I said it then.
You did.
I said it a month before we did the thing. And then you wrongly accused me, sent me to the electric chair practically, by saying that I should have made it number one if I was being intellectually honest and brave, except that I was being true to myself, as all good boys should be. This is the bone I have to pick with you.
At what point does me saying you need to be more intellectually honest conflict with you being true to yourself?
My point was I was true to myself, and you were saying that
No. I'm saying you should be less true to yourself and more intellectually honest.
I think you're conflating intellectually honest with subjective criticism, but then welcome to Damn You Hollywood. All right.
Okay. Yes. Look, I did in fact. I knew you hated that movie more. I respect that you dislike it more. I am not here to relitigate that. And
No, I just
however,
wanted to clear my good name as it was besmirched
however,
and smeared.
let the record reflect that Mark has been remarkably consistent about his stance on that movie in particular from the very moment he got through the first 5 minutes of it.
Yes.
And none of us were surprised when we did that. Like I used the excuse to cut a promo, basically. But I knew you were going to put Five Nights at Freddy's as the worst movie of all that year because that's the only one you would like to excise from existence, if possible.
Speaking of insulting, all you guys need a queso, you fat fucks, and you guys will be the Chubb Avengers.
I object to that. Like
yeah, Robert is American Ken Poe.
Yeah, and
I weigh 208 right now. I'm actually doing pretty good.
No, I'm in like Akeem the African Dream shape these days. But
hey, round is a shape in my opinion.
Well, round is a shape, and Mark, no. You should not go as Akeem the African Dream.
One man gang.
You should paint the stars and moon on your belly and go as Kamala. Let's just lean into it.
Oh no, I
want to go.
Kamala.
Can I go and do blackface? Because then I'll do it.
I want to do blackface.
I've been so Erica walked over to me before, and she was just like jazz hands, and I'm just like minstrel hands, and then she walked away from me. Yeah. She left me a drink, but she let as she always does because she's a good woman. But she absolutely walked away after that. As all good people should. Why are you here, Jason? Are you here because of Sam Raimi and Rachel McAdams? Because you can't get enough of that golden crisp? What is it, sir?
I must apologize, Mark. We'll go on record, and I will offer an apology. Nerdland has been replaced. I had a vision. This movie gave me a vision of something that was going to be good, and it lied to me, and it lied to me bad.
Okay.
And I asked to be on this show, so I was a gluten for punishment. But why I wanted to be on this show is I now question. But when I first seen the trailer, I thought this had a great premise, which it does. It has an amazing premise. The execution was pure dog shit. And I'm sure that we'll debate that later on.
It's an interesting way of saying you'll get kicked off of this show, but okay.
All right, so we're talking. So what are we talking about tonight, Robert?
We're talking about Send Help, Sam Raimi's return to genre filmmaking after
the purgatory that was Marvel.
That poor man. Yeah, I had forgotten this, but Sam Raimi directed Oz the Great and Powerful, and then didn't direct anything for like 9 years.
He just sat in the room going, "Never be clean, never be clean."
Yeah.
Speaking of Never Be Clean, Send Help was a 2026 American survival horror film produced and directed by Sam Raimi. He loves the gore, he does.
He does.
And written by Mark Swift and Damian Shannon. The film stars Rachel McAdams, What a Sweetie, and Dylan O'Brien with his T-Mood Joker laugh as an employee and her boss, respectively, who become stranded on a deserted island after a plane crash and attempt to survive while tension rises between them. Edyll Ismail, nobody else stars in this. Like Dennis Haysbert is here because SAG said they had to put him in the credits. Send Help premiered at the TCL Chinese Theatre in Los Angeles, California on January 21st and was released in the United States by the 20th Century Studios on January 30th, 2026. The film received positive reviews from critics and it grossed $28 million against a $40 million production budget. I was excited for this. And I'm excited to talk about it, but not for the reasons I was excited to see it. Robert, how does this movie go?
Wow, it's going to be an interesting one then. Okay. So we follow Rachel McAdams early as Leslie Liddy. Who is a Linda. You're right. She puts it on her cup. Linda. The alliteration here got to me.
Fucking Peter Parker over here. Reed Richards.
More alliteration. Stop it. She is a mid-level office worker who is mousy, socially maladjusted, little off-putting. But is, based on the sheer quality and quantity of her work, due a promotion to vice president. The previous owner of this firm dies and his Nepo baby son takes over. This would be Dylan O'Brien as Bradley. And he doesn't care much for her. She makes a bad first impression, like you do. And he wants to, use her to prop up his frat buddy boyfriend, Donovan. I'm surprised it wasn't Chad, because that's the way this script was written.
Bryson.
Remind me to talk to you about Utah names one of these days. That doesn't hit the way you think it does.
Nothing I say to you ever does. Keep going.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm just enjoying my 55-degree weather today in the beginning of February. Anyway.
You, McNulty.
Oh, I laugh now, but no, drought. Serious drought is in our future. Anyway. So he wants to use her for that purpose, and he says, look, I just don't see you as a people person, and I need people in the vice president position. It's kind of important.
I need people.
As opposed to the synthetic people, yes. But we're having this big merger. We're all flying to Bangkok in Thailand. Continue your good work there. Show me that you can be a normal human being when it comes to social interaction, and we'll see what happens. He's lying through his teeth, but that's what he says.
Yeah.
She does the work. She sings with her bird while watching Survivor. As they're flying to Bangkok, she overhears all the people making fun of her Survivor audition tape. And let's be real, if you're auditioning for Survivor in the year of our Lord 2025 or 2026, you deserve to be mocked. But she reacts badly to the humiliation, as you would, and then the plane crashes. She survives, as does Bradley. But she's got a bit of an obsession with survivalism and the outdoors, and so she starts building shelter and making sure he doesn't die, and he gets injured, not like terminal injury, but he's rendered fairly immobile via a leg injury after the plane crash. And he winds up a little bit helpless, and now the tension builds because he wants to pretend that they're going to get out of here, and she doesn't want to leave because this is her ideal life. So they go back and forth for a bit. She explores a bit of the island. She actually does see a boat, but doesn't want to leave yet. So she doesn't signal for it. Bradley slowly regains himself, learns a little bit, poisons her to try and escape on a shoddily made raft. She saves him again, vomits on him repeatedly. There's a big scene with a lot of blood in when she kills a boar. It's not how you should hunt boar, by the way. If anyone's looking to this for survival advice, there's better ways to do it. So she then poisons him with a blue-ringed octopus.
You find yourself in the bush with a spear, head on with the boar.
Okay, at that point, yes, this is what you should do, but in general, you won't. It's a whole other thing. She then poisons him with a blue-ringed octopus, and I must say, now for the record, because I know this, the blue-ringed octopus is legitimately one of the most venomous creatures on the planet. No, it's not just a mild paralytic. It is for the sake of the movie, but please, no. Guys, if you see one, don't touch it because it's pretty. It will just kill you dead in seconds.
So, sorry, yes, just like other blue-haired things.
Blue-ringed, not blue-haired.
Enough, Jason. This is you made your point. You made it with the last show, and we all had fun tickling and pinching each other. You're done now. Continue, Robert.
She then threatens to castrate him, like you do. Doesn't, but just says, look, we got to work together. Next time I'm going to do this for real with this knife I found. And he kind of pouts a little bit, but sort of goes along because he doesn't want to starve to death or die of exposure. And they're going along, and then his fiance shows up, having personally funded more rescue attempts, despite this area having been cleared earlier by the searchers. And Lindsay then kills the helpful Thai guy and his fiance because she really doesn't want to leave. Bradley finds out about this, tries to kill her. They fight. He gets stabbed. She gets an eye gouged, nearly out. He runs off to a different part of the island. She sees where he's going, and she heads him off. But what he finds on this other part of the island is a house. Very expensive, modern house. That she had found months, weeks, potentially months earlier.
Yeah, time in this movie is a weird thing.
they don't do a great job with it, and I'll talk about it in a minute. I'll talk about it later because I understand kind of what he's going for, but there does come a point when it does need to be a little bit more concrete. Anyway,
Yeah.
she talks to him through the security system there and says, "Yeah, I found this place. Some Wall Street billionaire owns it. And all that time we were out being sunburned in a hurricane, we could have at least had realistic shelter, but no. And yeah, I killed your fiance and that other guy, but you know, I'm a woman." And this has been the
Robert.
time of
Wait, are you spending too much time with me?
I'll get to it later.
Okay.
I have a whole thing about this because I kind of get where Sam Raimi is coming from on this one. So So there's another fight. Bradley confesses his love to her. He's trying to manipulate her so he can kill her and save himself. It doesn't work. There's one last bit of fight, and then she kills him with a golf club. We then cut to a year or so later where she's participating in a golf tournament, having taken up the game after being rescued. And her life's being made into a movie, and she's been very successful, and she drives off singing her favorite song along the Pacific Highway with her bird in a convertible because Sam Raimi likes those cars. And she winks at the camera to let us all know what's going on here.
So this is my boomstick.
So Mark,
yeah,
you had a prepared statement you would like to read in for the record, and the committee will allow you to read in your statement for the record.
Thank you, sir. If it pleases the court. Now, I had a very visceral reaction to the end of this movie, and I kind of just like shoved past my kids, found a place for me to rest against the counter, and I had to like tell several AMC people I'm fine. I need to compose myself and my notes. And so I did what I normally do. I spoke into fancy and I organized my thoughts, and this is what I came up with, and this is essentially what's going to constitute my as my craft review. I'm increasingly exhausted by humiliation rituals that pose as films. Projects that present themselves as psychological thrillers or moral explorations, but in practice function as exercises in managed degradation designed to reassure the audience that the correct person has been affirmed and the incorrect one properly erased. Send Help, directed by Sam Raimi, fits squarely within that pattern. On the surface, Send Help offers a familiar but promising survival premise. Two co-workers stranded in isolation, stripped of social structures, forced into raw dependence. Traditionally, such setups operate as moral stress tests, pressure cookers in which power reversals, psychological corrosion, and mutual implication emerge. The genre's strength lies in its refusal to preserve moral cleanliness. Survival narratives work precisely because they make virtue unstable. However, Send Help declines this risk. Rather than allowing isolation to contaminate both characters, the film maintains a rigid moral hierarchy from beginning to end. One character is framed as persistently justified, morally coherent, and narratively protected. The other is positioned as irredeemable, existing primarily to be diminished. What could have been a double turn in the Austin Bret Hart mold of WrestleMania 13, a reciprocal descent and reckoning, resolves instead into affirmation, as all good films these days do, and by good I'm being very sarcastic. The film's climax makes this avoidance explicit. An act of premeditated killing is not treated as tragic necessity, moral failure, or psychological breaking point, but as a narratively endorsed solution. The final line, delivered with a knowing, almost didactic tone, functions as instruction rather than reflection. It signals closure without cost, resolution without residue. The audience is not invited to sit with ambiguity. It is told the lesson is complete. This choice aligns with a broader trend in contemporary genre filmmaking, where ideological legibility and audience reassurance are often prioritized over transformation, and it makes me fucking sick. Fan reactions reflect this divide. Some viewers respond positively to the film's energy, performances, and perceived assertions of agency, reading the ending as cathartic rather than troubling. Others, particularly those attuned to survival narratives as examinations of moral breakdown, experience the film as an emotionally hollow, its conclusion unearned. Importantly, this is not a failure of craft. Send Help is competently directed and well performed. The setting is beautiful. The acting, perfectly fine. The disappointment stems from a narrowing of ambition. Raimi's long-standing indulgences, grotesquerie, tonal excess, shock, remain intact. Exhaustingly, tryingly intact. However, now they are no longer interrogated. They decorate a predetermined moral outcome rather than destabilizing it. Excess becomes confirmation instead of provocation. In that sense, Send Help is not incoherent nor unintentionally offensive. It is safe. Blah. It gestures towards darkness while ensuring that discomfort flows only in improved directions. Mandatory fun, they'll call it. What it withholds is the genre's defining payoff. The recognition that survival does not preserve innocence, that power corrodes indiscriminately, and that moral certainty is often the first casualty of isolation. The result is a film that mistakes punishment for insight and humiliation for depth, and leaves behind the sense that a far more honest, more dangerous, and more adult movie was deliberately avoided. Blah! Jason, your witness.
Okay, I didn't come determine Chat GPT script, so I'm just going to go off the. I'm just going to go off the cuff and give you human emotion rather than prefabricated. This movie, I mean, like I said, this was a great premise. I thought the execution was piss poor. The movie had no identity. I feel like it started out as a survival action film. Then it went into wanting to be a rom-com. Then it went into something that you were supposed to consider a horror suspense movie, psychological thriller, and then it just kind of went into then it ended on a cheeky note with the wink at the camera, like Robert said. Now, this movie had a great premise. You could have built everything up with the takeover of the company, building their relationship, him just trying to find ways to get rid of her and not realize, and though that she was basically what made the company work through her work and her numbers and her number crunching and everything. You could have did a lot of backstory with that, had the plane crash halfway through the movie, and then do it as basically a manipulation thing for the second half of the movie. This movie, right in the middle, I felt tried to become a rom-com, where you was like there's no redeemable characters in this movie. This movie is very poor and trying to develop anything of any kind of, in my opinion, any kind of cohesive start to finish. You basically have Linda, who is a number savant that is a survivalist. You don't lean into that. The only thing you know is she's a meek person. She reads survival books and she wants to be on Survivor. They make fun of her. Plane crash. Then all of a sudden she becomes a badass. Also, trying to make Rachel McAdams unattractive is a something. I mean, the fact that she loses her glasses and still has 20/20 sight, that was miraculous in itself. I guess the plane crash held her sight. I don't know. One of those things, I guess, in filmmaking. It had some great. The setting location was phenomenal. I love the island.
Hey, real quick, just because I use ChatGPT doesn't mean those aren't my own thoughts. Can we not do the cheap heat, low-hanging fruit criticism of assholes on TikTok that says because I used a tool to help me, like a staff writer or a typewriter, that somehow excludes my own actual thoughts? Everything I said there just cleaned up. Continue.
Okay, I didn't mean to offend you and hurt your feelings, Mark. My bad.
Okay,
but
cool.
Anyway,
keep going.
But like I said, I mean, it's just this movie could have been so much better. There was no build up, there was no suspense, nothing. You basically get the other side of the island. Oh, you don't go to the dark lands because bad things live in the dark lands. When you actually find out that's the way to salvation, and that's where they're going to live. Right? Yeah. I mean, good point.
Can
Ronnie.
you read it out loud for people who will eventually not see the visual?
John Locke's legs were healed by a plane crash, so why not eyesight?
The less we reference Lost, the better.
Great point, but that was a magical island that just like this movie had no time constraints or anything. What was going on? I think the time period they said it. I think it was mentioned once. Was around 7 to 8 weeks. I think that's what the fiance showed up, said they abandoned efforts after like 6 weeks, and then she was like, it was like a week later she showed up. And I don't know. I mean, this movie, it had so much potential and just fell so short.
I'll stand by everything that I said and double and triple down on it if confronted in a way that I don't feel is fair. Having said that, I think my biggest problem, Jason, with this movie was if we're watching Rachel McAdams descend into hell and we're watching, oh gosh, what's his name again? Dylan O'Brien realize that he's been a bag of shit, and he kind of Uncle Scrooges his way out of this, like, Spirit, I don't want to go into a lonely grave, I'll try to be better. And now he's having to deal with a pissed off Rachel McAdams, and it either ends double tragedy or it ends you could still end it with her killing him and give the kind of the bad guy gets away with it kind of an ending, but you can't do this. Was a double negative. One person becomes awful, the other one stays awful, and it kind of cancels them both out. And that's not. And here's the thing: if this was among the variety of ways this sort of thing was handled in modern filmmaking, I wouldn't have been bent out of shape about it. The fact that it's every movie now, every damn one of them goes this way. This is Sam. My screaming about it in the theater when it was done, to the chagrin of my children, was the lack of intellectual bravery on Sam Raimi's part. Like, if Ronnie's watching right now, if Ronnie was like shaking me, he'd be like, snap out of it, just say whether or not you like the movie. It was okay. I'm annoyed with the ending, but modern films can't land the plane unless it's prestige filmmaking these days. So I would have lived with it, but I have to sit here and talk about it and criticize it, and I'm seeing all of these internal problems reflecting a bigger problematic narrative in general Hollywood filmmaking, and it's just exhausting. I do this every week with him, and he'll tell you he's been doing it longer than I have. Well, he's been exhausted longer than I have. It's like we can't get away from it, even in something that's a sort of Tiffany personal project like this one is for Sam Raimi. I mean, yeah, he did it with a big studio, did it for Disney, but they more or less gave him a blank check and said, knock yourself out. And to me, I'm more willing to believe this was less noted up and more Sam Raimi as just an old coward. And that's sad to me because I remember his old Evil Dead days.
Right. Not going to agree with that. I mean, it was lazy and as a thing. I think, like I said, it could have been so much better, but I think it went with the safe, not even putting effort in trying, going for the lowest denominator of the audience. Because, like I said, I mean, if you could have built the tension up in the beginning in the office setting, and then have the dynamic shift a little bit more, and have her descending into madness, and have him kind of going crazy as well, and not feel so rushed, and like kind of let the story breathe a little bit.
I was gonna say, like, this should have gone full Hearts of Darkness.
I was thinking more Lord of the Flies.
Either way, you can do a combination of the two.
Yeah, I mean, the whole.
Why don't we go for the trifecta and we'll do to full Hearts of Darkness, Lord of the Flies, and the Isle of Dr. Moreau.
We can do that.
Fucking Rachel McAdams just making monsters in the background. It'll be fine. I'm gonna cross a coconut with a tiger.
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, I don't think they leaned into the premise like he should have, and I think it's the cheap way out.
Your thoughts, Robert?
You don't want to hear him. Let's just move on.
You're entitled to your opinion, and
I don't want to get into a screaming fight with you over this. You don't want to hear it. Let's move on.
Why are you so mad?
Because I don't know how the both of you managed to miss. Are you applying just pro wrestling logic to this? Do you think because she lives, that's providing moral absolution or moral clarity to her shittery?
No, I don't think either. I think
hang on, just let him have his. I don't think that was. I'm pretty sure that was rhetorical. And I want Robert to have his piece. And if he fundamentally disagrees with everything the two of us just said, I'm okay with that. Let's hear it out.
The notion. This is a litmus test for how screwed up your brain is about the male-female dynamic. Is fundamentally what this movie's going for. If you come away from this going, but the woman lived and she should have died, you're a little bit too far gone. If you come away from this going, yay, the woman lived, men have been knocked down a peg, you are way too far gone. This movie is sort of making you look in the mirror about what's your relationship to your fellow human being like in this case. Because Dylan O'Brien is a bag of dicks. But intelligently, there's bits of him that make sense. So talking about the office setting, Rachel McAdams, God bless her, she does really great work here as an actress.
Yes, she does.
She makes a very bad impression, and he can't shake the bad first impression because he's immature and a nepo baby.
First impression.
And again, you only get one of those. And some of the way that he treats her is very poor and is uncalled for. Some of it is perfectly within bounds. Saying, please don't eat tuna fish at your desk is not an unreasonable request for the workplace.
So real quick, my old job, we were expressly told don't eat anything that's going to give off an odor of any kind, and definitely don't bring anything with nuts or fish. You might kill someone. There's a lot of people and a lot of allergies. Yeah. Also, don't eat at your desk, you pigs. It's a jail. There's bugs everywhere. So you're not. I think there was a better way to handle it, but
again, like I am not defending the totality of this guy's behavior. Okay, as a character, not at all. I'm saying that the movie's smart enough to make him like 80% awful. But there's a bit of what he's saying that makes sense and is relatable and understandable. And then you have Rachel McAdams, who is very unrelatable in many ways, but you sympathize with her being downtrodden, with her being the one doing all the work but getting none of the credit. Because we've all been there. For crying out loud, Mark. You got on here for years mentioning how necessary and underappreciated you were in your previous job. And frankly, I imagine you were, because I have no reason to believe you were like incorrect in your self-assessment. Then when we get to the island, she's in her hate. She's very happy because this is like, yay, everything I want. He's still kind of a bag of dicks. And he goes a little bit off the deep end. She then goes way off the deep end because she doesn't want any of this to end despite the hardship. This is where, to the extent that the character had the moral high ground with the audience before abandoning the opportunity for rescue, you lose it at that point. She is no longer a hero. She is no longer operating from a position of moral clarity, moral certainty, or in any way doing anything that you as the audience should identify with. If you do, because she's the woman, you're too far gone. Your brain has been culture war rotted to death. You got nothing. The movie itself doubles down on this condemnation of her by showing her kill innocent people.
Okay. I really wanted to let you go without stopping because you all were very kind to me and let me finish. But I fundamentally and wholeheartedly disagree with that assessment. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to take your time to explain myself. I just want you to know your reading of that, I don't believe is objectively 100% correct because I'm sitting here with the same brain you have, and I saw that completely differently. Please continue.
Now, let's unpack that real quick here because
I don't want to spend an hour on this.
Okay, we don't have to spend an hour, but I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that you watch this movie and think that it still considers her to be a virtuous, aspirational character you should root for when she brains the innocent Thai man with a rock from behind, leading to his death and the fiance's death?
I didn't see anything in the movie following that sequence that properly punishes her with even her own guilt or conscience. She's sad.
Yeah, because she's crazy at that point. She's too far gone.
But I guess that's my objection to it is I know that there's a reading of the end of the movie that says, "Oh, look, the villain got away with it." That's supposed to make you feel hot. You're not supposed to cheer her at the end. You're supposed to be like, "Oh no, the woman who committed premeditated murder of two people." Like I'll forgive her for Dylan O'Brien. He had somewhat had that coming, seeing as he had tried to shoot her. But those two is unforgivable, and the movie lets her off the hook too easily. And even if you try to sell me, well, the ending, is the villain gets away with murder, I don't think he did a good enough job of getting the audience there. I think the thing of it is, I think the audience does a lot of the heavy lifting for him. They want people going into this movie, no matter what she does, want Rachel McAdams to win. And then she does, and she isn't punished for doing something, the most heinous thing in the movie. It's far worse than anything Dylan O'Brien did.
Oh yeah, she is absolutely a villainous figure.
But half of my angry rhetoric about this movie is because of that scene, and because everything happened after it is insufficient to what should have happened to that character.
Yeah. Okay. Again, I hate to use this phraseology, so I'm going to apologize because I'm not trying to be insulting. There's too much pro wrestling logic going on there where the guy who goes over was right. So hang on, just for the audience. This is not for you because Mark knows what I'm talking about. For the audience, you may not understand what I'm getting at. In the storytelling medium of professional wrestling, success is morality. Full stop. If you go over, you were right. If you lose, you were wrong. Because the storytelling medium is intrinsically tied to the outcome of physical violence. That's how it goes.
I don't really think I don't know. In your own probably way, you think you understand what I'm doing, but I don't think you actually do. And I don't want to.
And I hated both characters.
Very good.
I didn't like either. Look, man, if you wanted, like, what do I think should have happened at the end?
I would, sure.
My personal thing is they're fighting in that room and have the chandelier fall on them, War of the Roses style.
Yeah, I think they should. I actually think they should have both gone out the window, Frodo and Gollum style. But pick your ending. My point is, we're fighting over how the third act of the movie treats her post premeditated murder. You seem to think it treats her just fine. I don't think it treats her harshly enough. You want to ascribe the pro wrestling thing to it because of your respect for me or lack thereof. Be my guest.
I have plenty of respect.
But that's not why I came to that conclusion.
Okay.
It's a film craft issue for me. Period. Please continue.
Okay.
I am desperately trying to move you on because I don't want to do what everybody else does, and you won't let me.
Well, no, I'm trying to figure out where you're coming from here. Like I'm 90% of the way there. I really am. Okay. I absolutely respect you enough I'm not trying to convince you of my position. Like,
and again, I'm not. I use the Austin. I was more talking about like
it should have been a double turn.
They should have done a double turn in that. And yes, I went to wrestling because it was an easy thing to do. But there was plenty of been double turns in movies.
He should have been basically, if I understand this correctly, Mark, and if I don't, you can correct me. He's saying that Dylan O'Brien should have been redeemed in some aspect, and she should have been
Yes,
more
you're
or less,
you're on it, Jason.
more or less,
And tag me in
more,
here because
more
everything
irritated.
he does, from even when he's made up with her, he tries to get away on the raft, and he tries to steal the knife, and and he does this and he does that, and then even when he's trying to even when they're at the most getting along, it's still manipulation on his part. He is biding his time. He's still terrible and still would kill this woman if given half a chance. And then even in the house, when he's going through an overly long, longer than this bit even, overly long thing about how much he loves her, it's all manipulation. He is the same character at the end of this movie as he is at the beginning of it. And Rachel McAdams, if also doesn't really change all that much. That was still all there inside of her, but she has to keep an animal essentially at bay inside of her because she lives in civilized society. They get to uncivilized society and she gets to let the animal free. And then at the end of the day, she's rewarded for such. I don't particularly like that.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with her I don't have an issue with her getting away with it. I have an issue of the fact there's, like you guys pointed out, she killed 2 people, and there's the only consequence is a nightmare. Where
she's a little sad the next day.
Yeah, and she takes a sick day, and that's it. That's it. You got a mental hygiene day because you killed 2 people. Yay.
Okay.
And then she's done over it.
Then what? Then how would you do it?
How would I do what? How would I end this movie?
She killed. No. This interregnum, which is apparently what's really throwing you off, between her murder and the finale. Like, save the finale. Leave the finale alone. They both die. Don't care how. Okay. Immaterial.
No, I get what you're saying. And so I can answer you simply. We don't have to spend 20 minutes just explaining something I got within 2 seconds. She should have gotten more overtly violent and out of control and unpredictable real quick. Instead of being sad, there are 2 things in this movie that should have happened later in the movie. Killing the pig shouldn't have happened as early as it did. She should have had a taste. She should have gotten the taste for bloodlust later on in the movie when he starts to think, I'm in danger now. This isn't she's taking care of me. I'm in danger. Okay. And then she's getting ever so reckless, and it's starting to bleed into him. And he's like, if I don't do something about her, I'm going to die. And it's not going to be the island that kills me. It's going to be this lunatic.
Yeah, I would have.
And then I would have done a second hunting scene where she, because of her reckless behavior and her craziness and her bloodlust, she almost dies and he saves her. And now they are trauma bonded. That's how I would have done it. So when we get to the end and she's not in, because again, to me, I also thought it was lazy for her to be like, you're my boyfriend now. Like, easiest read ever on this thing, and in appealing to the lowest common denominator with that. I honestly think she should have gotten to a place of, I don't need you at all. She should have gone like full Amazon, and they end up dead that way, because he's like, if I don't kill her, I'm gonna die. And so, and with her, it's like, I'm through with all of civilized society. Let the Amazons rise, and they both end up in a struggle and go over the falls. That's how I would have done it.
A quick elevator pitch on what I would change. I would change the fact that we would have introduced the fiance earlier, and she basically captures her and is tormenting her as, and slowly spiraling down until it builds up to where the fiance, her and the fiance square off earlier. She kills the fiance then, and like Mark was saying, gets that taste of bloodlust. Then it goes on and you kill the boar, and then you actually have him like, it's either kill or be killed. And if I'm going to get off here, I have to kill her in order to escape her, and have that peril, because to me there was no tension of he was in no danger whatsoever.
Honestly, that's my biggest problem with that whole from the time of the double murder to the conclusion of the movie. I didn't feel any tension at all, and my one saving grace is the fight between them in the woods where he nearly blinds her. I was like, oh, one brave choice. All right, this isn't fair to Robert. Continue, Robert.
Yeah, I'll shut up.
Though I think we gave you as full-throated an answer as we could.
No, I don't disagree with you about the boar scene in particular. I do agree that one that should have been positioned better within the film to sort of represent her going more feral. That I absolutely agree with. They popped that crowd too soon with that one. Like that's a big narrative beat. That
I'm the wrestling nerd.
They hit that beat too early. I agree with that one. But I think my big pushback on sort of your takeaway from this is, again, kind of because this is fundamentally about the villain getting away with it, but because it's Sam Raimi, the intention is not to leave you feeling as hollowed out as you were. I'm not saying you weren't, mind you. I'm just saying, like, I don't think Sam Raimi's intent was to leave you, shell-shocked walking out of the theater.
I'm sure if Sam Raimi were here right now watching us through glass, he'd feel like this is exactly not what I wanted. I don't understand. He'd be like, you. Why are these two bald fat fucks hating my movie so much? I was trying to make something crowd-pleasing.
Well, I don't think he's trying to make something generically crowd-pleasing. Let me start there.
There's nothing generically crowd-pleasing about this.
Yeah,
movie,
no,
so yes,
there really isn't. But I think and this goes to like Sam Raimi overall.
Mm-hmm.
He is one of the better subverters of expectation.
Mm-hmm.
In ways that like Rian Johnson could only desperately aspire to. Like he will never get there. But
real quick, I think part of two things I think are happening. One, you like Sam Raimi and you liked this, and this is a giant mismatch. But also, this is kind of the James Gunn thing where I'm sick and tired of this guy. I'm sick and tired of James Gunn. I'm sick and tired of, who else do I hate?
Taika Waititi.
No, that's you guys. I don't hate Taika Waititi.
You do, Mark.
Wes Anderson. I fucking hate Wes Anderson. I'm starting to hate a lot of these guys. They have outgrown their welcome. And I think that's a lot of what's coming through this. It's a weird podcast to do this on, but I think this is just my fucking eruption in impatience with the large variety of the best directors we grew up with outstaying their welcome. I'm going to shut up now and let you finish.
Well, I'm a little bit surprised you brought that one out here, because this is actually, I think, kind of a return to what Sam Raimi does really well in terms of not having to have a studio sort of micromanage everything that he does and then sort of misdirect it and make him stick like the world's worst. Hey, let's do a multiverse sequence, which is just one other world that's painfully uninteresting.
So you remember last week I said Mercy was an episode of Black Mirror? Also an episode of Black Mirror, or apparently Lost.
Yeah, according to our audience, we should have the smoke monster come out and rectify everything.
Oh, I was ignoring that. I just put this last comment. I've never seen Lost, but I didn't know that was a reference. Robert, keep going.
I can see where some of that's coming from. But again, personally, I was on board with the ending after I thought about it for a little bit, because my initial read was a little bit more like, wait, really? That's the direction we went with this? And ultimately, I kind of walked away from it again after I'd thought about it for a little bit, going, you know what? Yeah, actually, this is one of those instances where you're expecting like something very, very different than what you get. And Sam Raimi's kind of making you look in the mirror a bit and go, were you on board with this woman and the choices she made? And are you happy that she gets everything she ever wanted? Because if so, you're the one that's kind of screwed up here. Like that's not a good thing. Her success is not, again,
being rhetorical.
I
assume you're being rhetorical.
A little bit.
Okay.
Like, again, her success is not good.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know if that was directed at me like I'm supposed to respond.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's rhetorical.
Okay.
Sorry. And I have a very, dark view of the ending of this movie, which I like. Like it didn't affect me emotionally the same way that a lot of these other like very dark, very mean movies do, because the end is a punchline. Like it's a joke. And like most comedy, I guess, if you don't get it, then I understand.
What if it's the same joke told over and over and over again by different people? What if 20 comics all came out on stage in the same show and all did "My wife can't cook, she makes jello and burns it"? How far into that do you think any reasonable person gets before they go, "All right, enough already"? And then you're turning around and be like, "Why are you mad at that joke?" I'm not. I'm mad at the repetition.
I completely sympathize with being burned out by the general state of. You called some function of this a humiliation ritual, and I understand where you're coming from, and I've seen it in other movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't view it as such in this movie, largely because it's Sam Raimi, and he always drowns everyone in as much gross stuff as he can if he gets half an opportunity to do so.
Oh, I'm not talking about what happens to Rachel McAdams with the wild hog boar. I'm talking about everything that happens to Dylan O'Brien.
I get that.
Mm-hmm.
And had nothing bad happened to her, I'd more be on your side about this.
What happens to her that's bad before she kills two people?
Well, again, it's a lot of the gross stuff more than anything. Because again, Sam Raimi. And well, if we wish to delve into like the morality of the character, what bad does she really do that deserves, if we're going to do this in the cosmic karmic sense? She abandons moral clarity and the moral high ground when she fails to try and get saved. 1,000,000%. What's she do that's worthy of, weirdness after that?
Well, prior to that, she lied about the boat.
Yeah, no. That I'm giving you, like, that's a thing that should not have happened. That there should be.
But we can't blow past it. You're treating it as a yellow blinking light, and I'm saying it's a red light that she blew.
Okay, and so what would you like to have had happen there?
In the dramatic sense, because in the dramatic sense, what she did was fine. In the moral sense, there's another human being on that island that didn't want to be there. She was morally obligated to tell him about the boat and get the boat's attention. There's no defending what she did there.
I am not defending her, not one little bit.
Because here's the thing: she could have stayed on the island herself.
Yeah, or she could have lied and say that she's seen a boat, tried to signal it, and they didn't see her.
Well, I don't know if that would have been any better, but
I'm not disagreeing.
They addressed it.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not disagreeing with that. Again, she's not a good person. She's not. Right. I'm not arguing that she is at all under any circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, it's one of the, maybe this is why I'm willing to give this movie more of a leash than a lot of people, apparently. I applaud this movie having the bravery to make her terrible.
I'm in the minority. Don't you worry. On this one, you're with the crowd.
Okay, which doesn't make me feel good, but okay.
Nothing makes you feel good, Robert. I'm sorry.
No. It's look, man. If the crowd's with me or the crowd's against me, it's whatever.
But you're the same person that cries about always being downstream from the rest of everybody else, and every once in a while, you hang up with the fishes. And I'm more with the crowd than not. When I'm not with the crowd, I'm like, good, let's fight already, And so. But it's just funny. It's just like nothing makes you happy. It's like everyone's against me and I'm alone. It's like, well, now everyone's with me and I'm not alone. Like, all right.
Yeah, and look, I've also seen most of those people, and when they agree with me, it makes me question myself. That's really all that comes down to.
Don't boo me. I see what you cheer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes you people cheer.
My point is you're saying like you're off on this like island by yourself. I've given this movie a longer leash than most people.
Well, again,
no. Everyone loves this movie, Robert. There's no leash.
Well, I don't know. The only people I've seen react to it are you two. So as far as I know, I'm in the minority.
I saw the Rotten Tomatoes scores.
I haven't looked at it, so.
Okay. Well, trust me. Your friend Mark Radulich will never lie to you.
Okay, I believe you. But again, like if I wanted to applaud something approximating the courage of this film, they make Rachel McAdams a terrible person. Like she's not a good person. The version of this movie that I would hate as much as you do She's nothing but virtuous.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know. She's socially awkward. I wouldn't call her bad. And then she gets to the island and she's hyper competent. She. There are no barriers. She has no hurdles. The hurdle is convincing Dylan not to go back to civilized life where he has everything and she has nothing.
I mean, I'd consider the hurdle being, you brought up like, what does survival do to your morality? Well, in her case, it makes her abandon it.
Okay, here's the thing. Let's look at this movie from a slightly different lens. First of all, do you want to go into any more of the craft stuff, or are we just free discussing at this point? Because I keep trying to defend your ability to speak unimpeded, like I want and demand and will fight people for now. So do you have anything else to say, and we can double back on this, or do you just want to keep going with the discussion the way we're doing it?
Let's hash this out. I don't think I have too much else I want to get into.
It's gonna be a 3-hour podcast. Poor Jason has a family to get back to.
No, I'm good tonight.
Okay. She was thriving, Robert. Taken from a different lens, just examining. Let's forget the last half an hour of discussion, and let's just re-examine this movie from a different lens, not from appreciation of prior work that Sam Raimi has done. Just what this movie is. They drop this person whose greatest sin was social awkwardness and being a woman in a corporate environment that was misogynistic. And then she gets to the island, and I'm going to say it again, she's hyper competent. She runs that island like a mob boss. Everything she does works. She knows all the answers. She knows how the island in and of itself accepts her. She has one encounter with a boar that nearly ends badly, but she got the best of the boar in almost every way. If you were counting shots, the boar got one shot on her, and then it did a Sam Raimi vomit attack. By that point, it was all over but the shouting. Her biggest hurdle in the movie is convincing Dylan to forget everything he has and everything he wants and just be her island love slave. I don't like that character. That morality upsets me. And the fact that Sam Raimi thinks that this is okay is a big struggle I have with this movie.
Okay. Why do you think Sam, what do you mean by okay?
Hang on. Ronnie wrote a thing here. I know a lot of preppers and boogaloo guys playing through Airsoft Path. They suck a big game but couldn't survive on an island. It makes them into the socially awkward, quiet person who would thrive in the wilderness. Okay.
And I mean,
I say he thinks it's okay because ultimately she gets away with everything unscathed. She suffers no consequences.
And the worst thing that she was in the office was socially awkward.
Yeah.
I mean that's it. And she goes home and
she believed in the mythology. She should be rewarded for hard work.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah.
and like you're supposed to think like she's this virtuous person through that because she done her job. She got passed over for a promotion for a frat bro, and she ate tuna fish at her desk because she had no friends, which was highlighted when there's talking about going out after work, and she tries to socially insert herself and fails miserably. So you're supposed to feel sympathy for her and like everything because she's socially awkward, like 90% of the people in America today, especially single females that have a bird at home.
You can be just as awful as Dylan O'Brien was to her without being the way he was to her. They made him purposely obtuse and oafish to the extreme so that when he gets his comeuppance, you want to do wrestling, let's do wrestling. They made him such an over-the-top heel that every time he got, hit with something, everyone got up and cheered.
Yeah, he's Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah. Except that they could have gotten to the same place a lot subtler by just making him act like a human. Because human beings will promote their friends and human beings will make B+ players continue to be B+ players in mechanics. Like there was an argument to be made of like, we like you where you are because you do good work where you are and we don't see you as an executive. It's a different skill set. without having to go through the humiliation ritual that they think they needed, so that people would have cheered him for just having booed him. People would have booed him for just having money.
Yeah, I mean, you could have made him just kind of be like, look, we don't see you as a face of this company. You're, and just be like, look, and the fact I went to college with him, and we was in the same fraternity, so I swore an allegiance to that fraternity to help my fraternity grow out.
Yep. How
many people hate frat bros? That would have sold itself.
Right.
Okay, you didn't actually answer my question.
Which was why do I think Sam Raimi thinks it's okay?
Yeah. You went on about how Dylan O'Brien's character is terrible, and
before that I said, because she suffers no consequences, there are no hurdles. She overcomes nothing in this movie. And then at the end of the day, she's rewarded for her easy road to success.
Okay. I'm going to just say it again. The villain getting away with it does not mean it's okay.
It's the lack of obstacles. Her only obstacle was the guy trying to kill her when he finally realized she had killed 2 people and she was responsible for him not getting off the island. Oh, and hid the house from him.
I mean,
again,
at least injured by the terrible CGI boar, it would have added some kind of layer to the story to be, because I mean, yeah, you could be a survivalist, you could read all the books and everything, but to use it practically is a whole different thing. It's like she fought the boar. The boar,
the boar won. She fought the boar, and the boar won.
No, it's like she has no. It's like she immediately goes from meek office executive to Rambo. First Blood Part 3.
All right, let's let Robert have the last word here, and then we can move this on, because we're going to run in danger of going in a circle.
Well, here's the other part that I think, and I don't know the degree to which you want to blame the filmmaking on this for some of this, but there's a big chunk of the middle of this movie where she's not the protagonist anymore. You say she doesn't have to overcome any hurdles. At that point in the story, she's not occupying the narrative space where that's what that character is supposed to do. We actually focus on Dylan's character at that point, and he's got to deal with this crazy woman. And he has to then try and overcome that. And that relationship is sort of the crux of whether or not this works for you or not. They're both slightly going crazy. Then they're both making each other's negative traits worse over and over again. And again, it didn't bother me, because by the time we get to the end, yes, I want Rachel McAdams' character to die, but there's a lot of characters I want to die and don't. A lot of people I want to die who just won't, and that's a whole other thing.
You and my son should hang out. I had to listen to him give me a lecture today about the virtues of suicide bombing.
There's no... you know what? At least he's doing the edgy teenager thing before he's a teenager. So you got
getting it out of his system.
Yeah. Don't ask, Ronnie. Just don't ask.
Yes. He's my son, and I love him, and he's not a danger to anyone. That's all you need to know.
So again, kind of the perspective shift there means that, oh no, she doesn't overcome obstacles. She is the obstacle to kind of be dealt with by the other character at that point. And again, that worked enough for me. And again, by the end of it, I kind of just realized, oh, you're both terrible. One of you may come out of this, but again, it's not an endorsement. It's not a celebration. The fact that she survives and gets everything. Well, if the only thing you think matters is the outcome and not what you sacrifice to get there, then sure. But like, everything about her that made her the person she was is now gone. And that's shown pretty clearly by the end of this. Like, she's become the kind of person that, Bradley was. when it's at the end of this movie.
Okay,
And
I got a quick question because you pointed that out, Robert. Do you guys feel that Bradley poisoned her was some kind of trying to redeem him, or the right choice?
no, it was not a good thing that he did.
I will say this. I didn't want to say anything because you're not going to like what I'm about to say, but that seems to be the theme of tonight's show. This is again one of those things where I don't mean this to be insulting, but this is just my sense of you over now and over time. When you finally like something and somebody who can stand up to you may or may not be right. I'm not going to give myself that much credit, but can stand up to you and you actually have to like fight back and forth with this person just fucking ruins the experience for you. And it's like, why can't I have one nice thing? This discussion's been like both great and frustrating, which I don't mind, but and I'm not saying we shouldn't have had it. I'm absolutely doubling down that we should have, but I can see where for the first time in a really long time live on the air, this approached a level of emotionality we don't get to because you're not usually the one that likes stuff. And usually what you like, I like. It's very rare it's this way around.
That's true.
Where you like, just let me have this one thing. And I'm like, no. And I'm not other people. So now we're in a fight. Which is, again, other people like hear the like, oh, they're in a fight. That's the problem. No, it's not. It's not the problem. It's that like why won't you just agree with me? Like, why can't we both like this?
No, look, I understand more where you're coming from, so we're good. Like that's fine. You don't have to like the things I like. I'm okay with that.
I'm glad we got there. 50 words or less, Robert. Anything else about this movie that craft-wise that you want to say so that you feel like you got said without interruption?
No, not a whole lot. I think if there's something I wanted to bring up, because now I think it'll give you an aneurysm if it happens. But Sam Raimi came out during the press junket for this and whatnot, and somebody asked him, like, you did Spider-Man and you did, the Doctor Strange movie, and you've done a lot of different stuff. Is there anything you haven't done that you'd like to do? And his response was, I'd like to do a Batman movie. Hang on.
I may stop going to the movies at this rate.
Hang on. And most sane people went, that's not a bad idea. And now the fact that you and James Gunn are on the same side of going no amuses me. Because funny. James Gunn is still of the opinion that the dipshits responsible for The Flash and Birds of Prey should make Batman Brave and the Bold, because James Gunn is a moron.
I know what I wanted to say. If you're not going to say anything, then I'm going to have the last word on this movie. My biggest problem with it isn't actually the Rachel McAdams stuff. It's that you keep saying that they switch midway through the movie. That's like your major thesis. And you think that's what we're all missing. Fine. My problem is they don't really do an effective job of getting Dylan to the place that you think he got to. Because everything that he does isn't him trying to be a better person. It's him being the same person he was at the beginning of this movie under extreme duress. He does not come to see her any differently. He does not come to see her better. He does not like her any more than he did originally. He had to depend on her or he'd die. He made rational decisions is what he did. And he did what a lot of us, and I'm going to say this loud and fucking clear so everyone in the back can hear me. He did what a lot of people do, and that it accepted someone's behavior, someone's personality for his own survival while secretly fucking loathing him. I have worked my entire life since I'm 14 years old, and I have to deal with stupid people who did not deserve the positions that they did, people who were in positions lower than me who couldn't run a lemonade stand, let alone the jobs that were given to them. And you live in civilized society and you have to fucking put up with it, or you die. or you figure out, or you invent something or start a company and God bless you, you get successful, then you don't have to do this anymore. My hero right now is Quentin Tarantino. I'll tell you why. Because he was successful, and so successful that he got to the age where you can tell people to fuck off, and there's no consequences for it because he's been insulated enough with success and money. And that's the thing. That's what I saw with the Dylan character, and why, if I'm supposed to see him as the protagonist, that doesn't really work for me, brother, because he's not doing anything authentically. Everything in that sense, everything is a manipulation to survive. And now, so we got one guy who's just trying to survive and another chick who's just trying to maintain the status quo. And I'm like, what? This is a Black Mirror episode now that you've stretched way too far. 45 minutes of this movie, and you get to kind of a harrowing ending. My opinion probably changes. An hour and a half of this to get to a stupid ending, you get the kind of antipathy you got from me tonight.
I don't completely disagree with the sense that there's stretches of this movie, again, kind of in the middle, that could have benefited from being reworked. You get a couple of moments that are really good. The bit with them getting drunk around the fire, I think actually works quite well.
By the way, that he then throws in her face later.
Well, after he discovers that she killed his fiance. But look,
there are lines. You don't cross them, and if you do, you're a bad person. It's not that hard.
Look, by that point, again, they're both terrible people, and I kind of do wish a wild boar would do the run-in and gut them both with its tusks. Like, I'm not...
The boar is Braun Breaker.
Let's not talk about Braun and everything they're doing wrong with him.
Okay. All right, are we ready to move
let's
on?
have him work with Seth Rollins again, because Seth Rollins notable for getting people over.
And not injured. Jason, you staying around for the next segment, my love?
No, I'm going to bounce. I'm just going to close out with this.
Yes, sir.
I think the fact that, like Mark was saying, it was the battle of survival. Yeah, he was a horrible person. He manipulated things, but like the poisoning her and everything, I think that was just a survival instinct because he knew that she was holding him back, and it was necessary for his own survival. I think they should have just leaned into that. I can justify him poisoning her. I don't have an issue with that because he's seen some of the shit that was going on, but they just need to expound on it.
Speaking of necessary, I just finished watching Necessary Roughness. Sinbad, what a treasure Sinbad was. What a forgotten treasure we had in
90s.
Sinbad. Did not get the respect he deserved.
Okay, let me give you one bit for the humiliation ritual that I completely agree with you on. Him misspelling help was utterly unnecessary.
Yeah.
Helpful? Hansel?
Yeah,
Jason.
that was maybe a bit of a bridge too far there.
Jason will be back. This is the month of Jason. February is Jason month. Hard for me to say. This week we've got the Ode to Football. We got Varsity Blues, Necessary Roughness, and the program. And then Jason will be back to continue Black History Month with Breakin' and Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. And then he will be back for the Book of the Clarence, the American Society of Magical Negroes, and They Clone Tyrone. And then we close out Black History Month with a look at Denzel Washington through the movies of Glory, Mo Better Blues, and John Q. And prior to that, Jason will be on for Psycho Killer. I finally saw the trailer for that, and I looked at my kids and said, look, so neither one of them wanted to see Send Help. But I was like, we made this plan. You're going to see Send Help. Shut up. But when we were there, I was like, they're 12 and 15, or he's about to be 12 and 15 years old. They can stay home if they want to. Like, I have to go see these movies. They don't. And I'm past the point of having to, this is a cultural experience. You must go. So I said, if you guys don't want to continue to go to the movie, if there's movies you don't want to go to, or you feel like would be too much for you, stay home with Erica. I'm not taking her either. So just stay home. Like, I'll see you in a couple hours. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
And what made me say that was I took one look at that Psycho Killer trailer and went, I can't force my kids to go see this, and I don't have time to see it without them. So
Did you get the reference I made last time about it's just the Prodigy? It's just basically a Prodigy music video on steroids. Or did you say
no, no clue. And real quick, Jonas is like, no, I'm really interested in this. This looks interesting. And Lily was like, I have to check the parents' guide. Okay. So, goodbye, Jason.
Goodbye. Have fun.
See you Thursday, buddy. Well, I don't know about you, but I need a cigarette.
Mark, I would really rather you not smoke.
I would rather be not.
You've got enough problems.
These fucking things cost me $120 every time I get one. No, thank you.
What are those?
This is fluticasone, propionate, and salmeterol. 250 micrograms or 50 micrograms. 60 blisters. Basically, it's to help my lungs.
Yeah, don't undo that.
And then here's my asthma inhaler. I've actually been doing good lately. I haven't needed both as much, but every once in a while. So with that said, here comes the asthma.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
I promise we'll go back to normal next week, where I'll love it and you'll hate it, and all will be right in the world.
Maybe. What is it next week?
Next week is next week will totally be that. It's the triple feature of the Rip, the Wrecking Crew, and Roofman.
Yeah.
And suddenly there is peace in Palestine.
The balance has been restored to the Force.
everyone back to where you belong. All right.
If nothing else, it's important that these happen every now and then, so we know that we're not too stuck in our roles.
Well, I think we've had a handful of people that have watched so far. They got to watch two people vehemently disagree with each other. People challenged each other, made assertions that may or may not have been true, and it didn't descend into name calling, nor did it descend into circular arguments, nor did it descend into pedantry. We had an argument. We got through it, and we're moving on. Like, that's the way adults behave.
In theory. Back in the good old days.
Where the men were men and the sheep were frightened. Speaking of frightening sheep, Send Help, on a budget of $40 million, made $28.1 million as of February 1st, 2026. Send Help has grossed $20 million in the U.S. and Canada and $8.1 million in other territories for a worldwide total of $28.1 million. In the United States and Canada, Send Help was released alongside Iron Lung. I did add Iron Lung to the schedule later in the year, along with Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, and I'll figure out a third movie someday.
Okay.
It's like the ass end of the year.
The big thing about Iron...
I think October is when I set it for.
Well, here's the thing about Iron Lung, that for the audience,
mm-hmm.
You see that distributor over there? If you follow the line over from Iron Lung.
Well, I'm still reading the Wikipedia, but go on.
Iron Lung was entirely self-financed by a YouTuber whose channel, a very famous one, definitely bigger than us, goes by Markiplier. And he played it's a little indie game called Iron Lung. It's not much to it. Self-contained kind of exploratory horror. And he went, this would make a pretty good movie. So he got the rights, and then he wrote it, directed it, starred in it, and edited it. And again, there's other production stuff associated with it because, there's sets and cameras and, there's a whole thing there. But it's basically self-done. It's self-financed and no major distributor. It's him. It's not distributed by Disney or Amazon or A24 or, any of the major studios. The people who were interested in it basically called theater chains and independent theaters and complained about them not having it there to be screened. And then when it's all said and done, this thing on a budget of $5 to $9 million pulls in 21 something worldwide. It's a pretty big success story.
I have been asked by 2 or 3 different people about this Millennia documentary. For the last time, I don't know every movie that comes out. I certainly had no fucking clue about Millennia. Even my kids were like, "Dad, tell us all about this." I'm like, "Please stop. I don't pay attention to all of it." Speaking of iron lungs,
Neither of us are super interested in propaganda pieces, so you know.
Iron Lung Shelter in Millennia and was projected to gross 14 to 17 million from 3,400 theaters in its opening weekend. The film made 7.2 million on its first day, including the 2.2 million from Thursday night previews. It went on to debut 20 million, topping the box office. Alrighty, Send Help was the #1 movie of the weekend. The aforementioned Iron Lung was the #2. So that's a big success for Markiplier. It made
it's a
17
win
million.
for independent, like genuinely independent film these days.
Yeah. For all the bitching and complaining that we and everybody else does about, oh, there's nothing good at the multiplex anymore, and then you have success stories like this one. Go support this guy. Go watch it. Or at least when it comes on PVOD, give it a spin. Millennia debuted at #3. That was produced by Amazon MGM. Amazon will make anything. We have no discernible taste whatsoever or integrity. Zootopia dropped from 3 to 4. Avatar 2 to 5. So
Pretty big drop for that.
Finally losing its grip on the fucking multiplex. Shelter debuted at 6 from Black Bear, whatever that is.
It's it's a Jason Statham action movie.
Oh yeah, okay. Mercy dropped from 1 to 7.
Trivial drop for that.
Yeah. The Housemaid, which I think is now on PVOD,
Probably.
dropped from 4 to 8. Marty Supreme 5 to 9. And 28 years later, The Bone Temple, in its third week, has dropped from 6 to 10. Back to the Past debuted at 15. The Moment debuted at 19 from A24. Infinite Icon.
I've been led to believe it's magic.
Yes, sir. Debuted at 27. A Poet at 35. Islands at 36. The Love That Remains, The Story of Mark and Robert, is number 38. Paying for It, Story of Mark, debuted at 40. I made fun of myself.
No. That's just an acknowledgement of suffering.
And that was the weekend that was. Worldwide, we're in February now. 2025 is well behind us. 28 years later, it's currently the #1 movie in the world, followed by...
That'll probably last through the month, somewhat depressingly.
Yeah, followed by Mercy, followed by Primate, followed by Send Help, which debuted at #4 with 27 million. Greenland, #2. Migration is 24. Iron Lung is 20 million. Good for it.
Yep.
Hypnoseismic, Division, Rat Battle, Rule the Stage, I don't know what any of this is.
No one does.
15 million. Shelter is at #8 with 13 million. Return to Silent Hill is 10 million. And Extra Worst, which I like on my rye bread, came in at #10. So that's about it. There are currently, for the year of our Lord 2026, there are currently 175 movies, one of which is epic, Elvis Presley in Concert, which it made $8.
Somebody just really wanted to see that.
I guess so.
Got in there cheap if it was only $8.
Eraserhead 2026 re-release was 3,749. So many movies, all over the world, making little bits of cash. Alrighty. Next week,
we're watching a bunch of really, 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 really dumb.
Yeah,
buddy.
This weekend is from Vertical Entertainment, Dracula. Did you? By the way, before I continue to read these, did you happen to see the I think it's a Fathom event horror movie that's the horror version of Wizard of Oz with Dorothy's an old lady?
I saw, I believe, a trailer for that at some point somewhere.
Yeah,
don't care.
Good stuff.
Really.
So we have a bunch of these are all limited releases. Stranger Chapter 3 also, according to this, is limited release.
What a terrible idea that movie was.
Yeah. The only thing I see in wide release is Aida the movie. All right. So moving on. Oh yeah, Gale, Yellow Brick Road.
That's it.
The following week, it'll be a race between Wuthering Heights and Crime 101. And as Robert reminded us, nobody wants to see Robert talk about Wuthering Heights. So,
Well, the other reason I'm pretty sure it's not going to win is no, as we have established repeatedly on this show many times, Margot Robbie is not a draw.
so Crime 101 is actually getting a fair bit of press right now. I've had a few people ask me about it. So we will be reviewing Crime 101.
I regret how good that movie's probably going to be because I hate Mark Ruffalo.
Kat asked me if like what Crime 101 was. I don't know if she's interested in coming on the show or not, but the urge to tell her, no, everyone leave me and Robert alone. This is our special time, but I don't know if I successfully convinced her to bypass it, but she may introspect. Interfere.
I'm just enjoying you like looking for the going through your vocabulary. Real
Intervene. She may insert herself into our Crime 101 review.
Fast. Okay.
Ronnie with the run-in. Change your batteries, Mark. I wasted a lot of energy on that last segment. All right. Speaking of which, anything else in the news going on that you want to talk about, or can we move on to the next?
Let's see. We've already done the Oscar stuff, and now everyone's just making their big pitches for that.
I watched Sentimental Value.
I need to see that still.
Yeah, I have one more Oscar movie left. Secret Agent. It's currently on. Let me double check this. I'm 90% certain it's already on PVOD now.
I'm pretty sure it is because I looked that up.
The Secret Agent. It's currently PVOD. It's $20 to watch at home. But I watched Sentimental Value, and we'll talk more about this in our Oscar preview.
Honestly, my big gripe with that, them nominating Stellan Skarsgård in a supporting role when that's clearly a leading role.
What was it? Ordinary People was the name of the movie with the Asians, and it's the two people who were together as children, were separated by past lives. Where I looked at you and said, it's a fine movie, but is this what we're nominating for Best Pictures now? That's how I felt about Sentimental Value. It's this year's Past Lives. I'm like, this is a great movie. I don't know why it's a Best Picture. Have we gotten to the point, and this maybe is worth discussing, have we gotten to the point where a well-told, strict drama somehow is worthy enough of Best Picture as if there's no other criteria?
Given the lack of them, yeah, probably. Look, again, I'm still pissed that they didn't nominate No Other Choice because that was, I think, the best movie from last year, more or less. But look, they're going to nominate what they're going to nominate, and the fact that the majority of Academy voters haven't seen the majority of movies they're voting on is an eminently depressing stat that they trot out every now and then.
Well, my understanding of how the Oscars actually works, like before we get to the nominations, is production companies, managers, distributors, whatever, submit films for consideration. So somebody on the distribution, production team, management team for Sentimental Value thought, we have made ourselves an excellent picture here. We will send it to the Academy for consideration. That is what you do. And they looked at this and all the other movies, which I would love to know. I would love to have a list. And I think that's like the one element that's missing from our Oscar discussion as plebeians and peons is, well, what else was sent for consideration for Best Picture? Because you have to name the category. You can't just be like, here's our movie, nominated for whatever category. We're horse. We'll take anything. That's not how this goes. They have to nominate it for a specific, they have to have it considered for a specific category. And so they had to have the forethought to say, these are the movies that were for consideration for Best Picture. Maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100, 1,000. They had to narrow that list of tapes down to 10.
I am not in disagreement with you there. I would very much like to, see here's what we pulled from.
Yeah.
To arrive at this particular finals. And
like if this made it, who lost?
Yeah.
Like that's really what I'm interested in right at this point, because arguing over, I'm over arguing over he's over, I'm under. What gets nominated for what, or what got snubbed or whatever, because that to me is passe and low hanging fruit. That's for the hoi polloi. I want to know what the fuck got nominated, or what got sent in for consideration, I should say. And I would like to be able to judge for myself. Really, I just want to be on the Oscar committee. I think that's what I'm making my argument here.
That
I am
that's
a film pick me.
your long-winded way of going. I should be a member of the Academy.
That's yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bring on Mark Radulich. He'll set us straight. He'll very vehemently yell at you if you criticize his use of ChatGPT. Fucking ran Jason off, didn't I? Oh God, I've angered the fat Jew. All right. Self-deprecating humor aside, are we ready to move on?
You just reminded me of one of my favorite Krusty jokes.
Yeah.
The episode where he discovers he never had a bar mitzvah,
Mm-hmm.
so he's not a man, and he is therefore not eligible to be like recognized on like the Jewish Hall of Fame or the Jewish Walk of Fame, all that stuff. And he's sitting there lamenting, "Yeah, I never had a bar mitzvah. I used to think I was a self-hating Jew. It turns out I'm just another anti-Semite."
Before I move on, Ronnie's comment here. Mark, either Hollywood gets you or you burn it to the ground. I mean, either way.
I recommend immolation.
Oh, that's hilarious. Sorry, I'm checking my nothing.
No, you're good.
Nothing, mother. All right. Now that I've incriminated myself on camera, shall we move on with the last of the red
It was
hot?
about the last place you hadn't incriminated yourself. You've done it in written form, in audio form, and in person, so you may as well do it on camera.
I'm just saying I can't wait until I have no obligations and can just do what I want, and then I can finally live the life I've always dreamed of at a clothing optional,
Mark,
community.
look at me.
No, don't you
No,
take
no.
this away from me.
I'm not trying to take it away from you. Not at
Okay.
all. Just
I am
look at me.
listening. Yes, sir.
You're Rachel McAdams.
I don't know
You're
what
the
you
one
mean.
who want to be on the Thai island by yourself,
Oh, yes.
living your best life. You are that character.
I have said of late that with the 8 hours of therapy I have to do, the 2 to 4 to 6 hours of podcasting, the any number of parenting hours that I am not just obligated to do, but honored to do because the best job a man can have is father.
Indeed.
That when I don't have to talk to people, I'm not gonna.
Not a bad way to be.
But I don't want to be isolated. I don't want to be alone necessarily. I just don't want to have to talk to anybody. And I have found, Robert, and I'm not asking you to sit with me because you won't, and I would never ask you to. But I'm
Okay.
just saying that being in the clothing optional resort with the naked people in the conversation pool where I don't have to talk to anybody, but I am surrounded by people is my Mark Radulich, no middle name, my blue heaven.
Well, I'm going to go out on a minor limb and assume that the people around you make a big difference about whether or not that actually constitutes what you want to go for.
I do, because they're all paying attention to each other and not talking to me, but then I am not alone.
And
Again, the whole lead up to this was I talk to people nonstop. I want to, when I rest, I want to not talk to people, but I don't necessarily want to be alone. And I also want to be in warm water, and I don't want to wear pants.
Okay, you know what? You went real specific there, and you did in fact find the one spot that hits all those criteria.
I found the center of the Venn diagram.
You did.
So you
And,
just want people to watch one naked while being naked. Yeah, Ronnie gets it. All right.
Well, no. The water's an important component of this. Like if you're not in the tub, not like the hot tub or the pool or whatever.
Yeah. Conversation.
I
please.
feel like if you had to do that sitting on a couch, it wouldn't go as well.
It would be Thanksgiving. It was everyone talking around me, and I'm just watching football secretly. There was no secret about it. It was very obvious. Silently would be a better choice of words. Silently loathing everyone in the room.
Yeah, but then you had to wear clothes. I'm just saying, like
That was also the worst part of it.
I'm just saying, like there is a component of all of this that is, I bet the nudity is a little bit more optional. for your enjoyment of that situation.
See, no, Robert. No, Ronnie just went the other way. Now Ronnie's like, no, it's not the water. It is the water. The water.
No, it's the water.
Like, being naked in the water is like my happy place.
Yeah, like no, like Mark would be happier wearing swim trunks, very loose swim trunks, if not a kilt, in the water, than he would naked on a couch.
What's hilarious about this is people tune. One, I finally figured out how to do the branding thing with this. So we are currently attached to the 20th Century Studios YouTube page.
Okay.
I hope somebody like, okay, let's see what's out there, like that we can because they can just take your video and do whatever with it. So I selected because of this is a 20th Century Studios movie.
So you've given them the rights to do something with this monstrosity if they feel so inclined.
Yes. So there was a very real debate over the movie, and then an extended, no apparent reason why discussion of how clothing optional resorts are one idiot's fucking perfect place. I hope there's an intern forced to watch all of this in its entirety, and he just immediately quits.
At this point, the intern is just reading the Notebook LM recap of our podcast.
Just throws a transcript into. Please summarize this and leave out.
Well, no. Okay, so no, there's the Notebook LM actual transcript, and then that gets thrown into Chat GPT, which summarizes it, and the cliff notes are what the intern reads to decide if there's anything further worth going
and watch
into.
It be send help is best his best watched while naked in a conversation pool. because the large language model like
no, I'm with you. Like that probably is what gets taken away from this.
I enjoy this show. All right. Here is your moment of zen.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
If you know the name of the movie you'd like to see, press 1. If it's send help, press 2.
To actually
Ronnie...
get help sent to you, press 3.
How did y'all go from Rachel McAdams killing wild boars and people to Mark's naughty bits being out and watching other people's naughty bits? Ronnie, I know you watch the show every week. I don't understand why you ask these questions. Because the answer is quite easily. Alrighty. As I said before, Robert is the king of the mainstream. He is right there with the hoi polloi. He, him and all of the lowbrow people, like they all like all the same stuff. Robert just loves Marvel movies and Star Wars and cartoons and and him and Alexis talk about this stuff just endlessly.
Can I tell you, like in all sincerity, I have like 3 major genuine like nightmare scenarios in my life.
Okay.
Okay, like I mean, look,
was one of them still being left alone in a house with a bunch of animals?
No, hang on, just
Okay.
well, let me get through this.
Yes, sir.
Because I mean, there's the unreasonable stuff, like, oh no, what if you were, paralyzed or brain dead or whatever. Like, not those. Like those are givens.
Yeah.
But like, what are the scenarios under which you would begin to question whether or not life was worth living anymore?
Yeah.
I have a couple of those. One of them is if I'm no longer allowed to eat red meat.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is if my mental faculties deteriorate to such a point that I watch stuff like the Michael Bay Transformers and I'm just happy.
Yeah.
Like if I get to that point.
Sorry, I drifted for a second and tuned back in and went, wait, what? Oh, heavens to Betsy, what you said.
Look, that doesn't mean I'm not saying anyone who does enjoy them's life isn't worth living. It's not what I'm saying.
No, I get it.
That's for the audience. I know you get where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone listening to this is somehow, wait, did he say my life's not worth living? Because I like those. No. It's about me. Because this is just a personal thing. So in the one instance I'm allowed to say this is about me. This is about if my faculties degrade to the point where I'm just like watching Michael Bay movies and the Marvels on a loop, and I'm okay with this. Just end me. Just send me to the next life. I will accept. I'm not doing anyone any good anymore.
Do you remember the time that we first met? Do you remember the episode of Family Guy where Brian is sick of being an intellectual and he does something to himself to where he's just as stupid as Peter, and so he's basically a dude bro?
I don't
And-
think I've seen that one.
And Stewie can't take it, and he like hurts Brian to where Brian has to be an intellectual again. I don't quite remember the details, but that was basically it. And the reason I'm centering on it is because it reminds me a little bit of you, where it's just like sometimes I wish I wasn't me. Sometimes I wish I was like everybody else, because being me is lonely, and being like everybody else, you don't know. You're too stupid to know how stupid you really are, because it's a base level of stupidity that most of the world shares. And and then there's someone like Stewie. He's like, "Oh, I won't let you do it." Like, had to bring him. Like, I was happy being stupid, and I can't live within a world where you're dumb.
Just go to Mo Sizlok and get the crayon put up your nose.
There you go. Alrighty, now that we've insulted everybody, as is the norm on this show, 93% on the tomato meter. Top critics, that drops it to 91. Verified audience is 87. All audience is 85. I'm happy to be an outlier. Like, I'm in such a mood to fight people these days. I don't even care. Like, good. I hope you all enjoyed your fucking slop. So the slop consensus is putting director Sam Raimi's penchant for diabolical mayhem to great use. Send Help doesn't need any assistance in thrills, thanks to a very game Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien, along with a viciously clever script.
This script needed help a little bit and play.
You think?
I'm agreeing with you. Now watch the snark.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, we've spent hours talking about this.
Yeah, and again, like, that's one of the areas that I agree with you. Like, this is far from a perfect movie.
Yeah. Let's see. Although the film, Leonardo Garcia
I would not be thrilled with this movie because Rachel McAdams is 20 years too old for him.
La Ginorda. Although the film is not a masterpiece like The Evil Dead, or in a much more measured way, a simple plan, it is a fun example of Raimi being back on track.
I tend to agree with that.
I really liked A Simple Plan. It's a much better movie than this.
Yeah, no, that's the point. Like, it's not as good as his best, but it's getting it's again kind of a return to genre conventions that Raimi helped popularize and is still very comfortable with.
Okay. Walter Shaw. Send Help doesn't deliver on its considerable promise.
Okay, the number of people who just wanted a Misery remake is kind of high.
Let's see. Sarah Vincent of Sarah G. Vincent Views. Sam Raimi still got it with a good. Sam Raimi, you'll wonder why I have issues with this movie.
No. Like, look,
Sam Raimi has still got it with a, quote, good for her, unquote, movie that will be sure to delight women and other put upon employees of any demographic with fantasies of merit winning over entitlement.
Okay, once again, woman, you are too stupid to understand what this movie is actually saying. I said it at the start of my review. Like, if you come away with good for her, you're too far gone. That's where we are.
Laura Clifford of Reeling Reviews. While it's sports Raimi style, it also becomes too cartoonish in the third act. It ends up throwing out the baby with the bathwater.
Not sure about that one.
So I missed the scene where he tried to get away on the raft, and when I walked back, she had poisoned him with the octopus. Yeah, and then kills the rat because, God forbid, she stab him in the balls and actually do an interesting thing with this movie.
Yeah, that was one of those I kind of wish they'd gone for it.
Yeah, Allison, that's the thing. You're not doing a Marvel. Like, fucking do interesting shit. Go Troma with it.
I don't need you to go that far because Troma's uninteresting, but
well, you know what I mean. Allison Wilmore, New York Magazine, Vulture. Raimi indulges Send Help score and gross out moments with the zest of someone returning to his cult favorite foods. All anyone thinks Sam Raimi is about is blood bukkake. They don't know anything else about him. That's all they know, and they think that's all he is.
And it is such a wild, wild misread of one of the better filmmakers.
Speaking
Like,
of wild misreads, Jeffrey Harris of 401mania.com.
All right. I hope you can substantiate that transition.
I can't. Rachel McAdams and I'm just slinging mud. Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien deliver strong lead performances as Raimi gleefully explores the inverted power dynamics, but through his unique stylistic lens as things grow more unhinged, chaotic, and insane.
The more we've talked about it, the more I do kind of wish we'd gone a little bit more insane at the end, but
yeah,
borderline need. Okay,
hang on. You know who should have co-directed this with, and they would have worked well together? Quentin Tarantino. Because he's not squeamish about blood, so he wouldn't have restricted Sam Raimi there. In fact, he might have pushed for more. But Quentin Tarantino's not afraid to do weird shit.
I was gonna say, I know you couldn't have done this, but like I kind of needed a consult from Stanley Kubrick.
Sure.
Because boy, does he do unhinged characters.
Yeah. The end of Send Help should have had the same pitch as the end of Roger Rabbit. Remember me, Eddie? Like, that's where we needed to go. Speaking of Remember Me, Eddie, Katie Walsh of Tribune News Service. A gonzo survivalist riff that works as well as it does because it features two incredibly game actors that surf the waves of Raimi's tonal madness with a blend of absolute glee and carefully honed skill.
It's a heck of a run-on sentence you put together there.
Did no black women see this movie?
Mark, why do you think I'd let my wives see this movie?
Kept them happily chained up in the basement, did you?
I can't let them get ideas.
I don't even want to do this fucking segment anymore. Listen, have you... So all over my TikTok. So are you familiar with what's going on with the Heritage Foundation right now?
Not especially.
So the Heritage Foundation at some point wrote a document called Project 2025.
That I'm aware of.
Yeah, and in it has suggestions for how we should fix the country. A lot of which was put forth by the Trump administration. Some of it was rightly ignored. Or there's no way for them to do it. These are not federal issues. These are state issues.
Because, to anyone out there who doesn't understand this, the Heritage Foundation is a conservative think tank, basically.
Yeah.
Which means they come up
and enact policy.
Which means when they say, like, hey, what do we need to do to fix the country? And they go, well, birth rates are plummeting, marriages are crumbling. We should try to fix that. That's not the same as...
Yeah, so all day on my TikTok, one TikTok after another, there was some dumb dead-eyed broad over and over and over again saying single people are going to be forced into marriage camps. Women are not going to be able to have rights. They're going to lose their checking accounts. They're going to lose their ability to have any kind of independence. They're going to be forced into marriages. And I went, well, the federal government can't do any of those things.
True.
It's not how this works. You would have to amend the Constitution, which I don't know if you know how easy or difficult that is. But,
I know how difficult that is.
But check the last time it happened, under what conditions it was. And then I used ChatGPT to make like a postcard of facts, because I can't keep doing the same TikToks over and over again, responding to these people. I don't have time. I have a real job.
Yeah. So
instead, I just now either duet their video with the fact check, or I just leave it in the comments because I don't have time for this sort of thing. There's just there's so much of them. It's like one of those video games where it's like one Godzilla versus a million ducks. It's like a million ducks, and I don't have time to respond to them all.
And respectfully, you're not Godzilla.
Rawr. How about King Kong? You let me be King Kong?
No. Like, to keep your analogy going, like you're the one guy in Duck Hunt, and there's a million ducks flying at you.
Yeah, okay, fair.
You can only do so much.
Right. So, it was just one after another of we're all going to get forced into camps, and I was like,
no, you're not.
Oh well, then one person did respond to me. He was like, no, you don't understand. This is how it starts. It's going to get that way, and I'm like, there's so much would have to happen. And I actually asked, I asked to research something. How many times has there been a hysterical assertion that never came true in this country? I'm like, and just give me bullet points. It listed about 20 of them.
At least.
Yeah. So my point is, like, for all these people, it's like, no. This is how there's a part of this country, a segment of this country that is so convinced that evangelical conservatives have more power than they actually do. And that there's an appetite from non-evangelical conservatives to let those nutcases run the country. And the country doesn't operate the way you think it does.
Yeah, one, the country doesn't operate the way you think it does. Two, most of those nutcases are amplified because of the internet rather than having a tremendous amount of actual power within their own organizations.
Yeah. Well, and that's just the thing. Like, part of it is, my getting hysterical over amplified hysteria on social media, and if I didn't fucking pay attention to those videos, they'd leave my algorithm.
They would. But yeah, and third, to your point, like, the conservative side of the aisle is more than the Southern Baptists people. A lot of the people on the conservative aisle actually don't go along with a lot of the some of the stuff from the evangelical Christians.
I was telling somebody this, it might have been my kids. I said, the thing that made Reagan was not what you think it was. After he became president, that was a whole other issue. But leading up to his presidency and his defeat of Carter, the thing that made Reagan the superhero that he was that he took three disparate parts of conservatism and united them. Because they were not united, was the problem.
The infighting going on there was legendary.
Yeah, it was why the Democrats won as much as they did up to the Reagan Revolution. And Reagan got three disparate, with very few other things in common other than they weren't liberals, together. Because a lot of, like, the war hawky conservatives did not have the same priorities or get along with the evangelicals, and the businessy, tax-cutty conservatives couldn't be bothered with either one. Yeah, they only like the military insofar as protect our assets, and they wanted nothing to do with the crazy Christians. And meanwhile, and then Reagan and his team made a coalition out of it, and here we are. My point being that for all these people going, the Handmaid's Tale is coming, the king priest of Istar from Dragonlance will be our leader. Like, my God, read a civics book.
Moreover, everyone who goes wild about the Handmaid's Tale tends to ignore all the things that happen in, Islamic states that look like the Handmaid's Tale, actually. But because it's Islam instead of Christianity, we can't talk about it.
Yeah, by the way, did you like my thing on Saudi Arabia today?
I saw that, yeah. Your son finally discovered that they've been sports washing Saudi Arabia and large parts of the Middle East for a decade.
Have known up to that point,
I expected more of him 10 years ago than he gave. And he's still
he would have been behind. He would have been 2, you asshole.
I'm aware, first of all. Second of all, I know that's the joke. The 2-year-old was not aware of the sports washing, and because he only now realizes that he's too far behind to actually affect any change. So
what's hilarious to me is how much, like, religious states don't stay truly religious states for too long.
Oh no, they can't. Okay, you either turn into Saudi Arabia, which now has a rule about, the alcohol prohibition that we have is only for citizens of Saudi Arabia. If you come to Saudi Arabia, go ahead, get drunk.
Yeah, because otherwise we can't have tourists.
Or you turn into Afghanistan or Pakistan, and nobody does anything with you.
Right. Or communist countries who suddenly realize after a few years you can't actually be communist. China.
Not a single communist. Dude, the first thing Lenin did after he came into power was institute a free, it wasn't a fully free market, but introduce a market economy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody believes that crap because everyone smart enough and opportunistic enough to rise to power under its auspices is not dumb enough to think it actually works.
Did I talk to you about this, about the dumb broad in communist TikTok who was like, when asked by a debater, a master debater, if you will, as a communist, what are your objectives? And she said, seize the means of production. And I snorted, and I was like, what are you and your fucking liberal fucking colored-haired TikTokers going to do? Seize the means of production, as in the oil refineries?
Producing what?
The electric grids. Like, they're using
Can
rhetoric.
You operate a hydroelectric dam?
They're using rhetoric from over 100 years ago where that meant farms.
It meant farms, and it meant
textiles, farms and textiles. That was it.
yeah, like it meant like the much more baseline industrialism. And frankly, what Marx was talking about was not people en masse seizing the means of production. It was people within those industries getting a bigger stake.
Right.
Like, I run this thing, you don't. I should own the means of production, and you can argue that whole thing to death. It's stupid, but at least there's a degree to which Marx was not saying, you peasant, go operate the electrical grid.
Yeah, these people who get wounded, if you challenge their beliefs in any way, like saying, for instance, North Korea, not really a communist paradise. Oh, heavens to Betsy! I am
North Korea's
wounded.
terrible. That's why people are trying to get out.
I am wounded. I will now run this electrical grid. Okay.
Yeah, no, we have developed the modern industrial world operates largely on specificity.
Yeah.
There's people with specific skills that run specific parts of it, and it all harmonizes together. Seize the means of production. You know what happened? Speaking of, because when Marx said that about farmers, you know what happened to the Soviets when they did seize the means of production?
Starvation.
Mass starvation. They call it the Holodomor, which is murder by famine.
I'm glad we saved these for the end of the podcast and not the beginning.
I'm happy to open the next one with us talking about how stupid communism is. If you want.
You're gonna wear me down and bring back the Whiskey Rebellion, aren't you? It's gonna be two of us bullshitting and me complaining about TikTok for an hour.
You'd only do it once every 4 months.
Yeah, have you seen the new schedule where I moved everything to either Monday or Thursday because I don't want to do this as much anymore? I was like, everything happens on Monday and Thursday, or it just doesn't happen. So, which in effect, and Erica didn't really understand this until I laid it out for her as quickly as I could. She was just like, I thought you were going to podcast less. I'm like, I am. So I siloed every single podcast that I do, including the ones with Jesse, into Mondays and Thursdays. And that booked me out until mid of 2027. And to this day, I had people coming to me. Jason was one, Sean was the other, pitching me shows. And I went, are you comfortable doing these in the summer of next year? Because that's how long you're going to wait. That's how far booked out I am. Me, who has no friends or whatever. So, well, I feel better now.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's good.
How do you feel? Nobody cares. All right.
Accurate.
With that said, yesterday, I still have shows on Sundays, was me and Jesse, the love of my life. We looked at Drax by CM
You'd
Punk.
never fight with Jesse.
Never. Oh, what a sweet boy. We did all 11 issues by CM Punk and Cullen Bunn, and then we did Drax the Destroyer Earthball. Okay. Tomorrow, Alexis and Sean are together again, like the Muppets. They are doing Percy Jackson Season 2. Alexis traded a Jason for a Sean, and the world moved on. Speaking of Jason, as I said, him, we're doing our preview of the Super Bowl by looking at 3 movies that have nothing to do with professional football: Varsity Blues, The Program, and Necessary Roughness.
At the end of which, Mark will give his detailed betting breakdown for all the value you can find in the Super Bowl.
I'm certainly not going to do what I attempted to do tonight because I'll give you this one because you're another one who likes to pick at me for my use of the thing.
I am very selective about my look.
Well,
I don't care that
I'm giving you credit where credit's due.
Okay.
It did lie to me, and now I realize that it's lying to me, and I won't do what I did tonight anymore.
Look, I don't care that you use it to script. That's what it's there for. When you're like, hey, how can I bet with this? Like, all it does is spit words at you. It's not it doesn't calculate that way.
Yeah, no, it's great as a writing assistant so long as I'm paying attention to what it's doing and I'm making sure it's reflecting what my thoughts already were.
Yeah.
Letting it do anything else is a bad idea. So that said, speaking of bad ideas, myself, first, as I said before, we'll be reviewing The Rip, The Wrecking Crew, and Roofman a week from tonight.
It all stinks.
Next Tuesday, because I can never say no to a pretty girl, Alexis and I will be reviewing the pilot of the Muppets 2026. Yay.
Good luck. That Kermit does not sound like Kermit.
He does not. I will be on the Miguel Connor podcast, whatever the actual name of it is. So I got invited. I, jerk that I am, terrible human being, alienates people, got invited to do someone else's podcast. So I will be doing that on Wednesday. And then, as I said, Jason and I will be doing Breaking and Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo. On Valentine's Day, me and my sweetie, Evan Bevins, this got delayed a few weeks because of a variety of things. We will be doing some comic-adjacent movies, Oblivion, Snowpiercer, and The Fountain. Robert Winfrey, how is everything going on Paramount Plus these days?
I had some issues last night, or yesterday, 2 days ago, Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Some minor glitching, but it's to be expected. So I cover mixed martial arts and professional wrestling. Saturday was UFC 325, a couple of decent fights and a very pointless main event. But I got to watch Volk win, which made me happy after AJ Styles retired, which made me sad.
That's funny.
What's funny about that?
Just the way you're delivering. Keep going. I got to pee.
So the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast finally made its return on Sunday. I am going to be streaming that to YouTube. So that was an extra long show this week. I had to review 324 and 325 and then preview UFC Fight Night 266, which comes our way next Saturday. And touch on a bunch of news, the UFC's new bonus structure, some fights that got announced, some fighters still out dealing with injury, all that good stuff. So it was a pretty big wrap-up, recapitulation, but we should be more or less okay going forward. I'm going to try playing around with a few things because at the moment I'm just using the YouTube stream function, and I think we can do better, but I don't want to get too far out over my skis in that respect. So at the moment, it's just me talking to the camera, and I'll figure out a few other things to go with it once I'm a little more comfortable managing that, producing it, instead of just talking and then not having to worry about anything else. I covered WWE SmackDown before the go-home show for the Rumble, which was barely average.
The Rumble without surprise entrances sucks.
I was talking about the SmackDown before the Rumble. The Rumble itself, I was significantly harsher on than a lot of other people.
By the way, watching the Rumble with my daughter and Erica, we were watching the women's Rumble, and them commenting on everyone's outfit was the best part of watching the entire affair for me.
That tracks. But yeah, you had a mostly empty arena for the women's Rumble. You had AJ deserving better than to retire in front of a 60% full arena, although as Mr. TNA, that does track. Sammy and Drew was a waste of everyone's time. And the men's Rumble was an enormous letdown. Poorly set up.
So what's WrestleMania? Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre?
Probably CM Punk.
CM Punk currently has the belt?
Yes, Mark. CM Punk is the world heavyweight champion. Drew McIntyre is the WWE champion. Because Raw is
you can't possibly expect me to know these things.
You're the one who's like, hey, I'm watching wrestling.
Yes. One event every month or so.
I'm
sorry. I'm sorry you're paid to cover SmackDown. I truly am.
I am compensated. I appreciate your
fucking
pain,
taking out on me all the time.
So what it's kind of looking like.
So wait, it's Punk and Roman. Then who is it in Drew McIntyre?
Cody, probably with Jacob Fatu thrown in.
Cool.
Yeah, no one cares. It's genuinely dude. I mentioned on the go home show to the Rumble, they've done nothing to build this. Nothing about this feels like there's momentum or hype or anything interesting. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments if you do, because There's people that read that and disagree with
Well,
me.
it's hilarious to me because I'm talking to my kids the entirety of the time I'm watching the Rumble, and I'm like, Ray comes out, and I'm like, I remember when they broke poor Ray's heart, and everyone thought it was going to be Daniel Bryan, and out comes Rey Mysterio, and they booed him and they made him cry.
I remember when Ray won the Rumble.
Yes, I remember. I'm just like memory after memory after memory. I couldn't tell you. I know Roman Reigns won, but I don't remember a single other thing about that. I remember last year's with Joe Hendry more than I remember this one.
Well, because Joe Hendry.
Yes.
You.
By
Look,
the way, my kids were doing that tonight on Sunday when we watched the Royal Rumble. They're just blurting out periodically, "We believe in Joe Hendry," and he never showed up. There was no Joe Hendry.
He didn't. It was kind of a the only thing people remember at last year's Rumble is Joe Hendry showing up and for some reason Jey Uso winning.
I miss Fat LaParca.
That's not.
What? Why? I know it's
No,
not the same guy.
No. It's okay. Do you know the story of that?
No.
Okay. So LaParca, you saw him in WCW, I assume.
The chairman of the board.
Okay. He got into a dispute with, can't remember, I think it was AAA. It's AAA or CMLL. I can't remember which one, but I think it was AAA. The wrestler leaves, but he doesn't own the rights to LaParca, the gimmick. The original LaParca is still wrestling as LA Park.
Okay.
He's fat.
Oh, good. As long as some version of the original chairman of the board is still fat and running around in the Disney skeleton outfit, I'm happy.
Similar, his kids wrestle. He's got EO Day, LA Park, and
Wonderful.
they were in MLW for a while.
Any other plugs?
Let's see. My coverage for my reports for wrestling. I mentioned the podcast. It's going to stream Sunday evening.
My snarky behavior and belligerence is your insistence that this go longer than it should. Keep going.
I could be a Hollywood movie editor. We're just going to keep going. We don't need an ending.
I'm going to start looking at bets for tomorrow if this keeps up.
You don't want to gamble.
Okay, Mom.
You want to win. You don't want to gamble. But anyway.
Who wants to just gamble? Everyone wants to win.
And yet, the fundamental nature of that institution is most of you won't. Anyway, so you can find those. You can find the MMA show. It's starting to stream live again now on Sundays. I might have to talk with you a little bit tomorrow about that, Mark.
Okay.
Nothing major, but you mentioned I don't want to do it on air. We can do it after.
Could we have a meeting after the meeting?
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it after. So find out me all those places. Come back next week when Mark says to me, but this was fun. And watching Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa be silly together made me feel young, like when the world was new. And me to be over here going, just put more than one bullet in the chamber.
Damn you, Hollywood, where wishing death and suicide is just the way we are.
Hey, your son was the one talking about the.
If you're gonna poke that particular bear, he wasn't. His whole thing recently is his reading of he's a 12-year-old boy,
Yep.
6th grade. Give him some grace and leeway.
Of course.
But his reading of Minnesota and the insurrection that took place there was, if you hate something that much, then commit murder. Commit to what you're doing. Don't half-ass it. So, which led us to the suicide bombing thing of just like, if you're gonna be this way about it, then kill them and yourself and do the world a favor. He's 12. My son.
Mark, I say this to look again. He's getting the edgy
There was a
stuff out of the
conversation
way.
that took place. I want you to. That wasn't like.
I'm sure.
I did not like pat him on the head and be like, "Good boy."
I'm sure.
Read the Atticus cookbook now. We had a conversation.
I'm sure, and there's plenty of ways to get around that. And look, we were all edgy teenagers at one point. We've all been there.
Dude, me and Gary Foster wrote songs about putting old people in a meat grinder. Like,
Yeah.
some of this is. I hate to tell this easily slighted, sensitive, pansy world, but that's just the way boys talked once upon a time.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm not worried. Be worried if he's still doing it in 3 years.
when he's actively reading the Anarchist Cookbook in front of me.
Yeah.
Like
That's the point at which you should become
I
worried.
dare you to parent me now, fat ass. Like, oh, Jesus Christ, Jonas. No, he'll be fine.
if you insist on going down this road, at least start at the other house.
Well, that's as good a place to end this podcast for. Yeesh.
I said it so you didn't have to.
Thanks. For my main rant, who's got my back, Robert Winfrey.
I would help you bury a body.
Ending this podcast as soon as possible. Be well, be safe, and behave.